Hello everyone, it's Ian and Liz here at Altnabrack. We just thought we'd take this opportunity to give an update about what actually happened with our solicitor situation. A lot of you may probably know that we've just had our third hearing in Wick Sheriff Court to do with the land dispute. So we're just going to try and give you an update now on actually what happened with the solicitor situation, aren't we, Liz?
We are. Hi everyone.
So the first solicitor we contacted, we're just calling Mr. PC. Yeah. So we contacted him. We looked for him specifically, didn't we? Because
he's actually a well-known solicitor in Scotland.
Yeah, and he was involved in quite a famous case, which we won't talk about. And we contacted him, and it was a pleasant conversation. He seemed to know a lot about conveyancing and everything that we were looking for in a solicitor. But especially, he was quite cheap, wasn't he, Liz?
Yeah, he charged really reasonable prices, sort of medium-sized firm.
And
no upfront fees. That's
it, yeah. So he was, if I'm correct, he was, well, I say reasonable prices still, more than most can afford. £220 per hour plus VAT. Is that correct?
That's what he was charging, but the big thing with him, he didn't want an upfront retainer fee like a lot of the big firms do.
Yeah, so we thought, that was very convenient for us. So we decided to go with him, and we asked him to send us the terms and rules of engagement. But we ended up waiting for, how long did we wait for that?
Well, we had the first hearing for the court case coming up, so we had time against us. We were waiting for the paperwork, and nothing came through for about 2 weeks. We kept calling up the office to get an update, how long it would be before we got the paperwork through.
But the secretary, remember, they kept saying that he was actually in a high court, dealing with a high court case, wasn't he?
That's right,
but
so we had to chase it up.
It was a bit frustrating to us because every time we phoned up, he wasn't there, and apparently this high court case got dragged out a little bit, and we just didn't hear back from him. So we finally got the terms and rules of engagement off him, and we filled them all in, returned them back to him. And what happened then, Liz?
So we sent the rules of engagement signed back to him, which meant he was officially going to take us on as clients. And then he asked us to send him the paperwork through, the title sheets, all the title documentation, which I did in a really big email. I sent through to him everything that he asked for. And then again, we didn't hear back from him, so we had to call the office again to follow up. And you spoke to him, didn't you, Ian? And he said he hadn't received my email. Yeah,
so it was basically just a couple of days. It was quite a large file we sent him, all to do with the first hearing, and there's a lot of information there. So we contacted him because we hadn't heard back from him, and he said that he hadn't received our email. So whilst we were on the phone to him, we checked our email. I said, well, it's definitely been sent. And then did he phone us back? He phoned us back and said that he did receive it, didn't he?
He did phone back, and he said, yes, I have received it. But the thing is, I get so many emails, I didn't see it.
It basically got lost in the pile, didn't it?
So we lost confidence then, didn't we?
Yeah, so we realised then that, we were going to have to deal with the first hearing ourselves. And, there was just no way he was going to be able to read everything we sent him in a day or two. And, we just knew that wasn't going to be very efficient. And also, when we spoke to him, Liz, after that, we found him to try. He tried to put us off, didn't he? He tried to put us off when we talked about Network Rail. He said to us, "Oh, Network Rail have got very deep pockets, and trying to talk us out of it." And I basically said to him, "Well, at the end of the day, does that undermine our property rights? Because Network Rail have got very deep pockets, does that make them above the law?" And that was basically where we ended the the whole thing with him,
but
wasn't
we
it?
just realised after he said that about Network Rail having deep pockets, and he just didn't, he just didn't see, he didn't seem the right solicitor for us. So
No.
we didn't pursue with Mr. PC.
And he put us off a little bit, so we didn't continue with him. So the next firm that we phoned up, it was a very large firm, dealt with conveyancing and all sorts of land law. It was a massive firm. We told them our issues. They were very keen to get started. They weren't put off at all when we talked about Network Rail. But the issue with this firm, Liz, they wanted £6,000 up front, didn't they?
They wanted a £6,000 retainer fee up front, and that was just to review the paperwork. It wasn't necessarily to take on the case, it was to review the paperwork, to advise us first.
The first 10 hours is what he said, didn't he?
First 10 hours
Yeah, so
of work.
the first 10 hours, and they wanted an upfront payment of £6,000. So that would have been £600 an hour. And we asked the question, well, what about if you disagree with us? You know, he wouldn't answer that question there and then. But we were concerned that he might come back, weren't we, Liz? And if he didn't agree with us, that would be, £6,000 gone. But the main issue was we didn't actually have £6,000 at that point in time that we could just pay up front to a solicitor. But we talked to him about that, and we did talk to him about how much we had and, how much we could afford to pay up front. And that's when he just basically palmed us off, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he did actually ask the question. He said, how much do you have? And then when we told him how much we had, which was nowhere near £6,000, he fobbed us off, and he just wasn't interested in taking us on. So we knew that wasn't the right firm. They weren't interested in us because we didn't have the money to pay them.
That's it. He was blatantly obvious, and he just couldn't get us off the phone fast enough when he realised that we didn't have the £6,000 to pay him up front. So that was the pretty much the second solicitor. So the third solicitor that we tried, who came recommended to us by someone that was following us and following our channel, we were extremely impressed by this solicitor when we first spoke to him. We ended up speaking to the partner of the firm when we first phoned up, didn't we, Liz?
We did, yeah. And this firm is a very large firm based in Scotland, specialising in...
So this big commercial law firm that we were really impressed with, they specialised in... What do they specialise in, Liz?
Yeah, they specialise in agricultural property. They did conveyancing for large private estates and crofting.
Crofting law as well.
Yeah, really specialised in these types of estates.
So we ended up speaking to the partner, didn't we? Directly to the partner. And what happened? What happened when we spoke to him? Do you remember?
Yeah, so we spoke to the partner and we told him what had happened with Network Rail bringing the BTP to threaten to arrest us, to get onto our land. The partner of this law firm was horrified when we told him that.
He couldn't believe it, could he?
He couldn't believe that had happened, and he said, what would BTP doing, getting involved in a civil matter? So we told him about the facts.
He said that Network Rail could be quite bullyish, didn't he?
That's it. He said that he was familiar with Network Rail and was aware that they could be quite bullish and that they didn't like bad publicity.
That's right, yeah.
And he was shocked when we told him what had happened to us, and we then obviously asked him about actually taking on the case. And once
he was keen.
Once he knew we had a registered title in the Register of Scotland and that we'd had a survey done, he was really confident, and he said to us that we were in pole position.
Yeah.
Pole position, and that all he would do was send a letter of enforcement to Network Rail
to tend to basically cease and desist if they didn't. And he said, well, you've got basically nothing to worry about if you've got a registered title, and you've had the surveyor there, and the survey, the survey report confirms that your driveway is within your registered title. He said you're in pole position. You basically got nothing to worry about. It basically mean a letter to Network Rail to cease and desist. If they didn't, he said, it'd be an enforcement letter then. But he gave us so much confidence, and we were going to go with him, weren't we? And so he said that because it's the weekend, it was a Friday, and he said he was going to get out the terms of engagement to us, didn't he? Which we received Monday or Tuesday after they came through.
Yeah.
We'd done all the ID checks.
That's it.
And we basically, what happened was I phoned back up, didn't I?
Yeah, so he said after we spoke to him on the Friday, and he said to us that he'd get the terms of engagement out to us to sign, and that he would get a solicitor, a colleague of his, to ring us, and that didn't happen. So we then followed up and rang the office.
Yeah, so I rang the office, and I spoke to the secretary there, and I basically ended up I was put straight to this partner that we spoke to, and he said hello on the phone. I said, oh hello, it's Ian Appleby, Altnabreck. And it was like he was lost for words. He was
totally different.
He was totally different. He didn't know what to say. It was so bizarre, such a bizarre conversation, and he basically just tried to get me off the phone basically as quickly as possible. He didn't want to speak about anything, did he?
No, he was stumbling over his words.
That's it.
It was obvious to us
that something had happened.
Somebody had a word with him.
So then we got kept waiting for a few days, or was it? How long did we get waiting for before we got contacted by his colleague?
It was another couple of days, and then a colleague from the same firm rang us. After we rang them again, he rang us back. Finally.
Yeah. But when we spoke to him, he was basically doing an absolute 360 on what the partner of the firm had told us, and he didn't agree with anything, basically, the advice that we received from the partner. It was a complete opposite advice we received from his colleague. And we just knew that we felt like someone had a little word in his ear or something had gone on. A lot of people know about what's going on here, this land dispute. It's quite famous, I guess, this land dispute. A lot of people know about it. I would think a lot of the solicitor conveyancing society know about it, don't they? And we just felt like, oh, okay, so someone's had a little word in your ear, and everything had changed, and everything they'd said to us, the good advice that they'd given us, and all the confidence was taken away, wasn't it, Liz?
That's it. We just realised that they weren't going to help us in the way that we needed. And then we tried other firms. The small firms just wouldn't take Network Rail on, which we understood. And the bigger firms wanted big retainer fees that we just couldn't afford to pay. So that's why we've been left unrepresented.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to explain to people who were supporting and following us.
But in the last hearing we were in, on Friday, was it? No, Thursday. The last hearing, we were in Wick Sheriff Court to do the land dispute, and we were watching other cases while we were waiting for our case to be called on WebEx, and there was a case with a lady who was representing herself, and we just call her Jill, and we watched the case, and we were quite astonished actually, watching this case go through. And she was saying that she'd contacted hundreds of solicitors, is what she said to the sheriff. And she said to the sheriff, every time that she mentioned the company that she was up against, the solicitors weren't interested, were they, Liz?
They didn't want to know.
They didn't want to know.
She had to represent herself.
Yeah, she had to represent herself. And so we realised that we weren't the only ones, and it's unfortunate, really. It's like if you're not up in a high enough place, if you haven't got enough money, you struggle to have a door to justice.
If you don't know the right people.
Yeah, that's it. So everyone, I'm going to end the video now. It's just an update to let you all know what was happening. We hope you're all well. We thank you for your support. We hope you will like this video to get our story shared. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, please remember to subscribe. Thank you very much. We hope you all take care, and we look forward to updating you soon with what's been going on in the court hearings. You take care.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.